Yo, Hustle Daily, what's going on, Hustle Nation? Welcome back to another video. It's your boy Big Play Ray coming to y'all with another video. We got a story time, Roommate from Hell. Make sure y'all like the video. Appreciate y'all tuning in and rocking with me. I ain't gonna keep y'all waiting. Let's go.
Okay, so story time. Never let nobody live in your house, no matter who they are or how long you knew them for. So I had this friend that was going through hard times, and she was living with this guy that she knew from work. Now, mind you, this has been an on and off friend for many years. Like, I met her working at a call center and whatever, and we was cool. We was locked in. It was a group of me and her and two other girls that we used to go out, hang out on lunch breaks and all of that. So years later, she told me she was in this situation with this guy that she had to live with, and she didn't really know him. She worked with him. She was homeless at the time, and he had a 1-bedroom, so he allowed her to stay there. And they're sleeping in the same room and all of that stuff. And the next thing you know, he wanted to try to get some kitty cat. So she was put in a position and she's like, I'm not giving up none, whatever. He told me I just had a place to stay and whatever like that. Friend, help me. So I'm like, girl, like, what you gonna do? So she's like, I'm still staying here. I need somewhere to stay. He's not going to put me out. So she called me back on the phone. Police is at the house. They done got into a whole fight. This nigga put hands on her, ripped like a braid out of her head and everything. And she called me crying, saying that the police said she could stay the night, but by tomorrow she had to go.
He was mad about that pussy, boy.
A good friend, and I'm like, oh friend, yeah, come to me. Like, you could come stay with me. I got me a whole 2-bedroom, you know, it's just me and my child. You can come live with me until you get back on your feet. And she had work from home too, so she could have just set up her computer, helped me out. We talked, and I'm like, you know, since I'm a single mom and all that stuff, you know, it would be great to get that support. So we was gonna split the rent, and she was gonna pay the internet bill so she could work from home. So that was our agreements. And she drove 9 hours just to get all the way over to me the same day so she could sleep over. You know, that's how bad she really needed something. So y'all, the next day, she was like, I need to go house shopping. So I said, okay. So I went ahead and took her to Walmart so we could go house shopping. And she was buying a bunch of stuff. Now, she told me that how she used to always, like, you know, 5-finger discount Walmart self-checkout. And, you know, she'd get away with it. So I'm like, oh, okay. All right, do you? We finally finished shopping. She got pillows. She got all type of stuff and whatever. And then we get to the self-checkout. So I'm scanning her stuff in self-checkout and whatever, and I'm scanning and whatever. And she's like doing her 5-finger discount thing. And when it was time to pay, she came up and she paid. And then at one point too, I did realize she went to another register to buy like something small. And she went there, she had her receipt and whatever. So we were walking out and she's like, huh, you push the buggy. So I'm like, okay. So I'm pushing the buggy and we're walking out and whatever. And somebody from the Walmart customer service, whatever, come out the room, grab the buggy and say, hey, come here. So I'm like, you know, I'm looking at her, she looking at me, and I'm like, damn, I don't. So they have us in the back and they start taking everything out, going through the receipts and saying everything that was scanned and was not scanned. And they're like, several things were not scanned. Well, they look over at her and they ask her for her receipt. So she's like, here's my receipt. I purchased all my stuff. So I start looking at her from the side like, girl, these is your stuff. Checkout guy says, and this another thing, y'all got to keep in mind, and because I really did not know this before. He said because my hands were on the cart and because I was pushing the cart, that I'm liable for the stolen items and I will be charged. She has a receipt with her items and her bags in her hand, and she was not touching the cart. So I'm looking, feeling set up as fuck, y'all. I start crying. I'm like, oh no, what the fuck? I ain't never been to jail before. My first time going to jail is gonna be for some fucking self-checkout stealing, like, and it ain't even mine. So I'm just sitting there crying, bust out crying. It's almost time for me to pick my daughter up from school, and I tell them that. I'm like, I'm on my way to pick my daughter up. I can't go to jail, this, that. I'm crying. And I guess they did not expect that. So they start looking at me like, oh yeah, she looked like she was probably taken advantage of. So now they start having sympathy for me and whatever. So they said they wasn't finna charge me. They was finna keep my information on file. And if I ever get caught stealing that self-checkout again, that's my ass. And I'm like, you ain't gotta worry about me no more. I'm never finna do that shit again, whatever. So we walk out and I'm looking at the girl from the side like, girl, what the fuck? And she's like, oh my God, that never happened to me before. I don't know what's up with the Walmarts in your state, but I've never gotten caught all this time I've done self-checkout. First red flag. So we get to the house and whatever, and she starts setting her stuff up. Now, I had this thing where I had like 2 living rooms. My daughter was in the other room, I was in one room, and the living room that was blocked off like had a balcony. So I was like, she could set up there, put a little curtain there, whatever, you know, it's good. The agreement was only for her to pay me like $200 a month. So she's setting up her stuff, and she starts talking to me about how she want to work at, you know, the strip club and been doing her thing. And she's like trying to put me on and like, oh, we going to be some rapper baby mamas, girl, and we're going to get our body done. Now, she already had got some lipo done before, like paid $2,000 for it. And it was like a botched job because it was like her belly was really lumpy and stuff. So she said she had to pay money to fix this surgery. So she's saving up to pay money to fix the surgery. But the whole time she's telling me like, we going to get our bodies done. We're going to be out here dancing, bartending, traveling. We're going to be rappers, baby mamas. But I'm like, girl, I have a whole child. That's not my inspiration. Like, I can't be out here doing that shit. Like, no, you know, you do you. You know, I'm a respecter hustle and whatever, but don't try to push me in the shit. But she was so adamant on, we have to do this shit together. I put her on to this club, this strip club in my area because I knew the manager that worked there. Now, I did used to do some bartending and whatever. So I knew the manager, and I was like, you know, I have a friend come from out of town that wants to dance. So I put her on. She finessed him like she didn't pay for her stuff. And I'm like, girl, why you didn't pay that man? Why you didn't pay him? Oh, he gonna get the money when I tell him he gonna get it. So I'm like, you can't be dirty in my face because I'm putting you on to these people so you can cop, but you sitting here trying to play and not give them their money. Second red flag. Now the guy coming at me and being like, hey, I don't know what kind of friends you have or whatever, but that girl, I don't get the good vibes from. Like, it seemed like she's on that finessing ass shit. Like, she trying to finesse me. And I'm like, oh, no. So I had family coming over to visit. It was my sister, my cousins, and all of that. So they came to visit me, and, you know, she was already in the house. And they did not like the vibes. Like, they was not fucking with her. They were like, you know, they were getting fake energy. What do I have this girl in my house for and whatever? And y'all, I'm sitting here being a good friend. I'm standing 10 toes down for her. And I'm like, y'all, don't come at me. I've been knowing her for a while. Like, you know, y'all don't do that. My sister was like, checking that hoe for something, and I was just like not having it because I felt like she was a guest in my home. So I was like, girl, yeah, you don't have to be like that, this and that. Like, me and my sister was going back and forth and everything. Like, that's how much a good friend I was being. Now, when we was in the house, we had to split household responsibilities, and like she did cleaning on days, I did cooking, vice versa. We would clean up together and whatever. Now, it was one bathroom, so it was a shared bathroom, and she used to be one of those types like try to be bougie, like, oh, when you get out of the shower, make sure you open the shower curtain up. That way it dries off, because if you don't, it's gonna get mold, and you keep doing that. So I can't continue to take a bath here if you're gonna have the tub dirty and moldy. Girl, one thing I never been was a dirty ass bitch. So it's like, don't try it. But still, I respected what she said, and we did the shower curtain the way she wanted to. And then she started asking me questions like, hey, what do you use to take a bath? What do you use for lotion? What do you use for your hair? So I start showing her these things. And she also asked, like, how do I freshen up and all of that stuff, which I thought was weird. She was like, oh, I see a cup over here by the tub. How do you freshen up? So anyone that knows of a Haitian culture, I'm Haitian, I'm Caribbean, we have this thing called a toilet, and it's like a freshen up. You sit on the toilet, you freshen yourself up. What I would compare it to like a bidet. So I told her and explained the process to her, even though I'm like, you know, it's my business. I don't know why you want to know, but I told her about that. Y'all, it really get crazy when it was time to pay the rent, and she did not have her part of the rent. I'm watching her work every day from home here, and she didn't have the little $200. Like and comment for part 2.
Nah, she didn't have a $200. What is a toilet? That's my first time hearing it. But I will say, man, shit, you didn't take up for me. Like, if you didn't come forward, I'm not one of those people that, like, if you get stopped in the car with some weed and it's not my, if we get stopped in the car with some weed and it's not my weed, bro, you need to be saying, hey, this is my weed. Why the fuck we both gonna go to jail? You feel me? In this situation, old girl should have been like, I did that. Stop fucking playing with me. Shit, it would have been over right there. You trying to get me sent to jail.
Wanted to address everybody in the comments that's like, oh, why would you have your hand on the buggy if you know she was 5-finger discounting? And the most simple answer that I can give is I don't know. Like, it's just misinformation. I didn't know that this was a thing. And if you guys knew, then that's why I'm making this video, to spread awareness, because I guarantee there's someone that does not know that. She knew. So if you ever get caught in a situation with your friends, 5-finger discount at self-checkout, y'all, do not touch that cart. If
That's what it's called, 5-finger discount.
they want to go down for that, let them push that cart out, but do not be the one touching that cart if you know you didn't do anything, okay? After she get in her little domestic dispute, drive 9 hours to me, get me set up at self-checkout, the story continues. First month that she had to pay the rent, she paid late, and I told her, like, hey girl, you got, where's your part of the rent? I'm seeing her work from home, she's doing overtime, everything, and she didn't have $200 when it was time. And she said, oh, I have other bills and responsibilities. I told you I'm saving up for my BBL, my lipo reconstructive surgery. So your bills are your responsibility. So if you have the rent, you have to pay it on time, and then I'll pay you when I can. Me late the first time, and then on top of that, she used to leave these little like spit cups around. I don't know if she had allergies, but she used to have these cups that she used to in, and she used to just leave it around the house, on the floor, on the table. And I'm like, girl, I have a child, can you pick these up? Like, I do not want my child drinking this by mistake. And she used to continue to leave it around. Paid late the first time, and then the next 2 months she paid on time just fine. And then that third month after that, she didn't pay me. I was like, girl, where's your part of the rent? And at this point she gets bold and she's like, oh, I don't have it. I'll give it to you when I have it, and this and that. So I'm like, okay, no, you can't stay here anymore because it's always something. So I told her, like, you need to pack your shit. You need to leave. This is not working out. Like, you only got to pay $200 and you can't. It's always something. You working a full-time job plus overtime. I know you got the money. You taking care of your own shit, but you treating my rent like it's not important. So you need to leave. So she starts boldly saying, I'm not going nowhere. You can't kick me out. The law says that legally I stay here. So at this point, I'm like, I'm in a fucking situation with a squatter, because why you...
That's why her ass got knocked out in the first place at the dude house. Yep.
Stating the law back to me. So if you didn't know, you can't kick anyone out of your home. You have to serve them a legal eviction. And then even after that, it's 90 days to get them out. So she knew that, and she was using that against me. So I'm like, my friend done turned into a fucking squatter. Like, so I had one more idea on my sleeve. I was like, since she worked from home and, you know, we got the internet plugged up, it's under my name, I'm gonna cut that motherfucking internet off. So I threatened her, and I'm like, girl, if you don't pay me my rent, I'm gonna cut that internet off tomorrow, and there'll be no more working from home here. She thought I was bluffing, and the next morning came and I cut that motherfucking internet off. She was mad as hell. She couldn't log into. She immediately started packing her stuff to leave. Yes, get the fuck out. Even she had this guy come and help her pick up her stuff, and things were kind of cordial. She didn't say anything to me. I didn't say anything to her. And then after she left, I texted her and I'm like, girl, where's my key? And she texted me back like, I threw it in the yard. Go fetch, doggy. And I'm like, oh, here we go. You ain't have none of this energy when you was in the house. Now you about to come with all this fake ass energy. It's your fault we in this situation anyways. So she starts saying all this rah-rah stuff over text like, you're fat, nobody wants you, all you do is talk about this one guy. And I was going through it with my ex, so you know I'm venting to my friend about what was going on with him, and she uses all that against me. And she's like, I'm going to tell everyone that you talk about them. I'm going to tell everyone in your hometown. She used to have BV or something like that. And she used to lay up in the bed and scratch for hours, but never go to the doctor. But she used to want me to go and buy her over-the-counter boric acid capsules. And I'm like, girl, just make an appointment. And she's like, these all work. The internet said these work and blah, blah. But she used to be sitting there scratching for hours, and that shit was not normal. He like, oh, go ahead, keep washing your kitty in the toilet. Girl, maybe if you was washing up more often, you wouldn't have to deal with that BV, sis. 2 days go by, and then I'm getting like calls and text messages from people in my area. She's going back to all the people that I introduced her to, that I put her on to, and she went to them talking shit about me, saying that I'm talking about them, just making up a bunch of lies about me. And I had a few friends that didn't believe her. They were like, this girl is crazy, she's coming at me. Isn't that girl you were hanging out with? And I had to tell them the whole story. It was embarrassing. But the final straw was when she actually went to my ex, and I seen she added him on Facebook. So I'm like, what the hell is going on here? So I then contact my ex, like we were going no contact. We haven't talked in months. So I contacted him and I'm like, hey, this girl that moved in with me, I know her from back home. Can you block her? Like, I just got in a whole situation with her. I don't know what she's trying to do. And can y'all believe this nigga was trying to be messy? He wanted to hear what she had to say. He was falling for that shit. She was liking his stuff. So I just let them have that. I'm like, you being messy for a nigga, like trying to get into female drama. And they were and I found out later on that they were inboxing back and forth. She was talking about me, talking about she be having guys in the house and all she do is talk about you. Don't get back together with her. And I'm like, what the fuck? Females really be doing all of this shit? Like, you are pressed. You supposed to be my friend, and I'm venting to you about an ex, and you go back to my ex. Y'all, I really wouldn't put it past her if she slept with him. Like, I'm really starting to believe like they linked and fucked and all of that, because she sent her number and everything. So I'm like, girl code, why would you go to a nigga and tell him anything that I had going on in my house? Especially when it's not that nigga business, even if I did have other dudes in that house. Like, why go back and tell an ex who's out here doing him? She made a whole Facebook post about me, talking about my house was dirty and don't trust people, and I did her dirty and everything, and I was her friend. But it's like, girl, you need to stop lying to these people. She had a bunch of people up under her comments, like on her side and everything. I'm over here helping you, moved you into my home, and because you don't want to pay, you going out there trying to play a victim, talking about I did you wrong and my house is dirty. This the same dirty ass house you begged to stay in, sis. Like, what the fuck is you talking about? Don't ever let nobody live in your house unless maybe y'all have like a verbal agreement y'all could stick to. Fuck that. Just don't do it. Don't do it. Don't let nobody live in your house unless they're in the lease and they're as liable as you are for that rent. So y'all sign that lease together, but do not let no friend, sister, cousin, brother, uncle, auntie stay in your house just because they going through hard times, y'all. This was a roommate from hell situation I will never get myself in again, because I knew this girl for 8-9 years. Granted, I moved out of state and we would keep in contact over time, but I would have never thought she would have did me like that.
I ain't gonna lie. I don't even like motherfuckers spending the night at my house. Motherfuckers is not spending the night at my house. No friends and shit. Hell no, I can't help you, gang. I like my peace. I like my space. I like being by myself too, so. But it sounded like her and her friend, bro, they wasn't even friends like that. She just met her. She felt bad, let her move in. It was over when you damn near got me arrested. Straight up. You feel me? And you talking about this BBL, all this shit, and you ain't got $200? Baby, you gotta get your priorities straight. But I know why she got kicked out the first house. Shit. Niggas ain't trying to let you live in a house and you ain't giving them no pussy. Straight up, like, the hell you think this is? And then she probably talked to him crazy and he knocked her ass. Boop! And she had to move out. Not saying that he should have did that, because he definitely should have did that. But I appreciate y'all for tuning in and rocking with me, man. It's your boy Ray, Big Play.